Hi everyone. Oh, I'm not on center. Let me shift over here. There we go. That's a little better. So I'm Lynnea. There we go. Now I think we're straight. I hope you are all doing well today. I am getting this set up on my phone so that we can chat together. There we go. I have the chat in front of me and you guys can watch me craft here. Usually I know I greet you with my smiling face, but today has been a day. And for anybody who's maybe, like a mom like me, it's been crazy today. So I have my son set up at the kitchen table with his Legos. He seems to be happy now, but there's no makeup on this face at all. My eyes are puffy. My cheeks are flushed. It's like I have allergies so bad right now. And so you get to see the pretty crafts and not my face. Oh my gosh, I forgot my wedding rings too. I'm just a disaster today. But I thank you guys all for joining me. We are going to be creating today with some Glitz glitter gels and some Deco foil. Originally, I thought that I was going to be using flock, but recently I've had a lot of my crafty friends ask me about foils. They said it was something that they haven't seen in a little while, and they were asking specifically how to use them with the Duo Transfer Gel. So I thought last minute I'd switch out my flock for my foil, and we would use that today. You can definitely absolutely use the flock for this card design, but I thought that I would show you the foils. So you can see here I have some red and green colors, so I'm going to be doing a quick and easy Christmas card, and we're going to be doing 4 backgrounds. You're going to get 4 cards, which is great for the holiday season coming up. I think that a lot of us we get overwhelmed at the holidays, and before you know it, they're here, and you need to get those wintry Christmas cards out in the mail. So with this design, you're going to have quick and easy cards. So let's go ahead and we'll get started here. I'm going to be using, let me shove these off to the side, 2 stencils. I have Simon Hurley Create Sweater Weather Stencil, and this is a new Gina K Designs one. It's the Fizzy Stencil. That's such a cute name. This just came in the mail yesterday, and I loved it so much. I swapped out the stencil I had been intending to use for this one because I think it's just perfect. Doesn't it kind of look, it could be snow. So I thought that these two would pair together between the sweatery look and the snow look. We're going to use those. I'm going to start by spraying the back of them with my Pixie spray. So to do that, I have just a box. This is what I do all of my, you can see there's glitter in the box, there's adhesive in the box. I use it for just my general mixed media use. This is about as mixed media as I get right here. I'm going to start with the Sweater Weather Stencil, and I'm going to spray it with my Pixie spray. Give my Pixie spray just a little shake. And one of the questions I get asked a lot about Pixie spray is how much do you use? You really don't need to use a lot. So I'm just going to go over it once or twice. I usually go down and then back up. Uh-oh, it sounds like my Pixie spray is almost out. Good thing I have a backup. But that's all. So you really can't even see it on there. It doesn't really give, there's a little bit of the tackiness on there, but it should be tacky. Definitely not sticky, I wouldn't say. I'm going to be working on white cardstock today, but if you prefer to use colored cardstock, even black cardstock, these techniques would work on that as well. I'm going to just tack the stencil on and just give it a good press. It doesn't look like that's absolutely straight. I'm just going to shift that a little bit. That looks a little better. And then all I do is just give it a good press over, and you're going to see that that cardstock, it's tacked on there. It's not going anywhere, which is fabulous. I'm going to start with the Glitz glitter gels. I'm going to do 2 backgrounds. I have grass green and I have red velvet. You can use this technique for your holiday cards, for any occasion cards, really. It's really an easy technique. I'm going to scoop some of that Glitz glitter gel out. I was just working with this one, so I don't need to mix it up. But if you do find that there's the glitter has kind of separated from the clear gel, give it a stir, and then you'll be good to go. I'm going to quickly just spread this over the top, and then I'm going to flip the stencil pal over and kind of bring it down. Just like a spatula, like you would if you were icing a cake. It doesn't need to be gone over and over and over. I'm just going to get it into all those little nooks and crannies. And once I do, I'll go at like a 45-ish degree angle and just swipe all the way down. There we go. Now I can use, I have a palette knife here too. I just find that useful for scraping this back into the jar because I don't like to waste any of the Glitz glitter gel. All of this is still perfectly fine to use. Then I'll just peel this off my stencil. So while I'm doing this, because I'm going to do the same thing with the red velvet Glitz glitter gel. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? All that shimmery, glittery goodness. I'll set that aside to dry. But while I am doing this, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Like I said, I have my phone set up watching myself craft, which is a weird phenomenon, but I'm watching myself craft on my phone so that I have the chat box all set up. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. I like to just give my Glitz glitter gel a wipe with a baby wipe. I don't use any fancy baby wipes. They're from Target. They're left over from when my son was like an infant. And as a mom, I always have baby wipes everywhere in every room of my house. And then I'm just going to quickly wipe that green Glitz glitter gel off my stencil pal, off my palette knife. It comes off pretty easily as long as you don't let it sit. You do want to clean your stencils. So I have a bowl of hot soapy water sitting off to the side of my craft area so that when I'm all finished with these cards, I can just dunk my stencils in there. But look, that's really all the waste I have. Not much at all. Gonna give that a quick wipe there. And then I'm good to go with my next color. Now it's not perfect. It still has a little bit of that glitz on there. I'm not really super concerned about it because like I said, I'll wash that. I'm gonna pop this back over onto another piece of white cardstock. And I do have these, they're cut to A2 sized, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'll give that a press on there. And now we're gonna go in with the red velvet. Again, I just used this one recently. These are my go-to Christmas colors of Glitz. So I just used this one recently, so I didn't need to stir that up or anything. It's good to go. Gonna just give that a quick spread over. Awesome. And then wipe it off there. Oh goodness, there it is. Do you guys misplace your craft tools as you're crafting? Because even though I try my best to stay organized, and I would say I'm a fairly organized person, I do still, I'm going to lay that down because I'm working with it in midair. That's why it's not coming up. I kind of lay things down and then I'm like, well, where did I put that now? Just last night, I had to call my husband over to my craft area because I was like, I can't find the packaging to my stencil. There we go. That's that ruby red. That's pretty, right? So there are our two Glitz colors. Let me grab that other one because I set that one aside to dry. Perfect Christmassy colors. I'm going to set those aside to dry. They don't take, the stencil that I used doesn't have a lot of, I call it stenciling area. So there's not a lot of Glitz glitter gel on that background, which means it's not going to take a long time to dry. It's probably going to take maybe 30, 45 minutes. I find that the Glitz glitter gel dries fairly quickly, especially when you're using a stencil pal so that you can get a smooth, even coverage. All right, so I'm going to actually, yes, I have to use my stencil pal again for my other backgrounds. Otherwise, I would have dunked that into the soapy bubble bath that I have waiting for my stencil. I'm just gonna dunk it right over in there. You don't want to let your Glitz glitter gel, or any wet medium for that matter, dry on your stencil. You're going to have a lot harder time getting it off. See how easy that is to just wipe it up with a baby wipe when you just go right in and clean it. Let's move on now. This is the Fizzy Stencil. Grab that out of the packaging. Oops, where did I put my box? Oh, see, there I go again. I told you I'm a disaster today. Okay, so just like before, I'll give my pixie spray a little shake and then just a quick once over. It's kind of running out. After today's live, I'll be switching that out for a brand new bottle. And there's nothing quite like the satisfaction of opening a brand new crafty product, even when it's pixie spray. I just get so excited. Alrighty, so this stencil, I'm just going to place right over here. I don't have to worry so much about this one being straight because it's just little bubbles. And we're going to use the Transfer Gel Duo. Now, Thermoweb has two different types of transfer gel. There's the Duo and the Blanco. And essentially, they work and they perform similarly. They both work to transfer your enamels, your flock, your foils onto your cardstock using stencils. However, the fabulous thing about the Duo Gel is that you don't need a laminator. And there's so many times that my friends have said, oh, I've stayed away from foils and flock because I don't have a laminator and I don't want another piece of equipment. With the Duo Gel, I'm going to show you today, I'm just going to use my die cutting machine. You don't need a laminator. You can use it in your die cutting machine. The Blanco, you do need to use your laminator. You can't use your die cutting machine, but the Blanco is fabulous for working on dark cardstocks, specifically with the enamels. The foils and the flocks, you can still use your Duo Gel in your laminator, even on dark cardstock. So let's get going with this. We are going to spread this over the stencil just like we did with the Glitz Glitter Gel. I'm going to use my palette knife to get it out of the bottle. And I'm going to have to open up a new bottle of this soon too. How exciting. I'm going to scrape some out and then use my stencil pal again. I'm just going to make sure it's all the way to the top and all the way to the sides. And once I have my stencil fully covered, I will just swipe right on down with that Transfer Gel Duo. And once I have all of those fizzy little circles covered at a 45-degree angle, I'll swipe off. And that ensures that I have even, smooth coverage. So it's going to dry evenly, and it'll dry even quicker because I just have a thin layer on there. I'll peel this back, and you're going to see that it's kind of white on here. You're going to know when the Duo Gel is dry because the Duo Gel will turn clear. If you're using the Blanco Gel, the Blanco stays white. So a little trick that I use for determining if the gel is dry, if the back of your paper seems to feel cold or like cool to the touch, the gel's not dry yet. Once your paper feels like regular paper, it's dry. I'm going to position the stencil again, just to do this again. And I didn't wipe my stencil. So there's that Duo Gel all over the top there, and I don't want to touch it, but I do want to make sure that my stencil adheres onto my cardstock. So I'm going to use my stencil pal, and there's no product really on there. There's some remaining product, but not a lot. I'm going to just swipe that over the top. And now from that pressure, that paper is tacked on there just from using the stencil pal. It's basically doing the same thing as my hands would do, except my hands stay clean. And once again, I'll just do the same thing, scoop out some of this Duo Gel. I'll make sure it goes all the way to the top, all the way to the sides, and then all the way to the bottom. And then again, like a 45-ish degree angle, swipe all the way off. And then scrape all that excess right back into the jar. Same thing as with the Glitz Glitter Gel. I'm going to peel this up and set this aside to dry. Now, I do find that the Duo Gel takes a little bit longer than the Glitz Glitter Gel to dry. So, again, it depends on your climate and your temperature. If you're more humid, I find things that take a little bit longer to dry. But for the most part, I let my Duo Gel dry for a couple hours because you don't want to use it before it's completely dry. Otherwise, the gel kind of smushes, so make sure it's completely dry before you use it. I'm going to take a baby wipe and wipe off the top of that jar. And this just makes sure that there's no product on the lid or on the lip of that jar. And then I can put that on, seal it up tight, and it won't dry out on you. I am not even going to bother really wiping all this down. I'm going to dunk it all in my bubble bath. And then I'll just wipe up my work surface really quickly. So that is all the stenciling we're doing today. I did these stencils for you guys last night so that you wouldn't have to wait for all of them to dry. So here are my products that I did last night. This is the Red Velvet Glitz Glitter Gel. And then I also have the Grass Green, all dry. So this is what the Duo Gel is going to look like once it's dry. You can see how it's kind of clear. Let me grab one of the ones we just did so you can see the difference. Here's one we just did. You can see how that's white. And here's the one I did last night. I was up late, so it was probably about midnight. So it's like a little longer than 12 hours ago, but you can see that it's completely clear and it's kind of shiny. So this is wet. This clear and shiny is when it's ready to go. And you can use this in your laminator or your die cutting machine, either one. So let's go with the foils. This one is just called green. Nothing hard to remember there, just green. Oh, Beth is saying she puts press and seal on the tops of her gels and paste. That's a really good idea. Alrighty, I'm gonna pull this out. So these sheets are 6 by 12. You certainly don't need the whole thing, but look how pretty that green is. So when you're working with foils, you want the pretty side to go into your foil. Now I am second guessing myself. Ladies, I took Benadryl. That wasn't a good idea because now I'm second guessing myself. I'm pretty sure you want foil side up. Don't listen to what I said first. Foil side up. And press that in. I'm thinking of flock because I was going to do flock. Flock is pretty side in. Foil is pretty side up. I'm going to trim this off a little bit just because I don't want to have waste. I can use this again for a separate project. So I'll set that to the side. And I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. I have a Gemini, so it might get a little bit loud, hopefully not too bad. But what I like to do is use just a piece of typing paper. That way, I'm going to show you my cutting plate because look how terrible it is. See all these scratches and etches? I don't want that imprinted into my foil. So I'm going to put this into a little carrier sheet. And in addition, I'm going to put my foil side onto my smooth, this is my plastic shim of my Gemini, so that way I can be sure that there's not going to be any imprints of this scratchy die cutting plate. I'm going to run this through my Gemini, so again, ignore the loud buzzing noise. It'll just take a second. And then while that's running through, we can do the same thing with this red foil. And again, I think this one is just called red, so I'm using red and green foil. That'll be super, super easy to remember. I'm going to go pretty side up into the Duo Gel, just lay that right across. And trim off the excess. Oh man, I also just filed my nails. I tell you guys, today, it's been a day. It's been a week, and it's only Wednesday. So I hope that this little crafty session brightens your day because it makes me happy to come on and just craft with you guys. All right, I'm gonna take this one out. And then again, I'm putting the red one in, foil side into the parchment or the computer paper, and foil side goes against the smooth part of my die cutting plate. And while that's running through, I will peel this off. And it peels off super easily. Look at that. I'm going to shine this in the light for you guys so you can see all of that foily goodness. So this is the green one. I hope you guys can see. It's gloomy here today, so I have my lights on, but I rely on both natural and artificial light in my craft room, and it's so gloomy outside today. That's the green. And I do want to say, don't throw this piece away. I should show you my bucket of foil because, or I guess it's a box. In my box of foil, here I have all these extra pieces, and someday I think I'm going to do a live on what to do with all these extras because there's so many uses for this. You could cover your cardstock with double-sided adhesive. I like the iCraft 6x6 adhesive sheets. Lay this over the top, and you're going to have the same green foil, just the negative piece. So I think maybe in a future live, if you guys want to see, I'll just do like a what I do with scraps video because I think we all have scraps. All right, let's grab this red one. And I'll peel that back. Yay! Look at that. Isn't it so pretty? That's the red. So there's a red and a green. I think you can see it a little bit better down there. All that shininess. Super, super pretty. So now I have 4 backgrounds. 2 in red and 2 in foil. Now I'm going to trim these down just a little bit because I want to do a split card design. This is nothing new, nothing fancy, but it's a great way to mix and match patterns and as well as products. So you can do this with pattern paper and your stenciled backgrounds and get even more backgrounds out of this. But I'm going to trim this down. My background is 5.5, so I think I'm going to go at 4 inches. So I'll have a piece that's 4 inches and a piece that is 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to trim those right down. So now I have 2 pieces, not quite half. And I'll do that with all of them. And even with a product on here, you can see how easily it cuts. I think mostly because I do thin layers. I like things to dry quickly. I'm quite impatient. Anybody who knows me knows that I am so super impatient. So I do thin backgrounds, or thin mediums rather, so that I don't have to sit and wait, because I don't wait very well. I'm like my son. He's almost 5 and I'm like him when I have to wait. So trimming those down. So now I have bunches of little pieces of these backgrounds. And I'm going to piece them together. I'm just going to grab some card bases. And we're going to kind of piece these and mix and match them. So my idea was to have a glitz background with a foil background and mix up the colors. So let's just start here. I'm going to go the red glitz with the green foil with the red foil with the green foil with the red glitz. So you can kind of get the idea of what I'm going to be doing here. I'll set those to the side, and I'm going to use my favorite adhesive. Last time I was just about out of my Ultra Bond adhesive. This is a new bottle, so yay for all the new things. I'm going to just add some of that adhesive onto the back here. I like to use the needle nose tip because it makes my adhesive go farther. You really don't need a lot of this. I'm just going to lay that on there. It gives you a second so that you can slide that around, but then it dries tight. It's on there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this bottom piece. And I'll just tuck that right up against there. And I'll rinse and repeat with all of them. Let's see, we go that way. So I hope you guys are having fun. I've been watching the chat. I don't really think we have any questions right now. If you guys want to ask me any questions, feel free. I like to answer your questions. I'm going to add this to the top. So this is the grass green glitz, and I'll pop on that red foiled background. And this is where I was saying, if you want to use pattern paper from your stock, or if even like regular solid colored cardstock, if you do 4 of these fun glitzy or foiled backgrounds, you could get a whole bunch of cards. If you cut these into 8 pieces and then you just use pattern paper, you'd get, what is that, 16? Or would you get 8 cards? You'd get 8 cards. 8 cards. Because you could have a fun, shiny background mixed with, you know, like a matte background from a paper. Almost done. 1 left to go. And if you wanted to, you could even add these with foam. I'm checking because I thought for a second that I put that on upside down, and that would just be the cherry on top of my day. How many cards? So somebody asked, how many cards do I make in a week? That's a hard question because I am very fortunate. I get to design for a lot of amazing companies. So I make more cards in a week than the average crafter does. I would say I probably make at least 10 projects a week. And so that's saying, like, this I would count as 1 project. So this is 4 cards, but I would count it as 1 because I'm weird like that. But I'd probably do 10 different things a week. So I would probably say I make about 50 cards a week if you count this as, you know, like 4. So I make a lot of cards. I am fortunate that I have a mom who's a teacher. So, and my brother is a pastor. So I give them boxes of cards. Probably every couple months I go through. I just dropped that on the floor. floor. I go through and I go through my cards that I don't need to send back to the companies that I designed for. And I give them a box of cards that they can use. So I have these 1/4-inch strips of black cardstock because let's be honest, this isn't very pretty here where the patterns meet. But if you just throw a little piece of something over there, you cover up that seam line and then it's pretty. So going back to my cards, I'm fortunate that I have people that I give them to. And if you don't have somewhere to give them to, I definitely recommend looking into your school districts because a lot of them have, when I was growing up, fun fact about me, I started making cards when I was 13. My parents kind of went through a bad divorce and I had a school counselor who recognized that I was struggling and she invited me over to make cards and I was like, I'm not going to make cards. What 13-year-old makes cards? And she goes, oh, you're coming. So she arranged it with my dad and I did. And I remember making cards, her and I together, and there was a basket on the front desk at school where we would put our cards. And as parents came in, well, I didn't get enough glue on there. As parents came in and as teachers, everybody came in. If a student had a birthday, they would pick from the basket of cards that we made and they would use that in the school. And to my knowledge, the school still does that today. So they're not my cards anymore, but I think it's great to know that they're going to good use. I'm just going to use this iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive on these strips of cardstock because I'm gluing onto something textured. It takes just another second to dry, and I'm just eyeballing to make sure these are straight. But again, a little bit of wiggle room, and then press that on there, and that'll hold on. So someone is saying they make cards for their church, which is, yeah, so I do too. My brother's a pastor, like I said, and they use them at church. Again, there's the basket at church. And so when people have birthdays, if you need a sympathy card, an anniversary card, anybody can just go and grab those cards. So I make a lot of cards and it's great to make them. I have fun, but I also love seeing them put to use because I will be completely 100% honest. I don't mail cards as often as I should. And that is always a goal for me at the beginning of every year is to mail more cards. And I do really, really well the first couple months. And then by this time of year, I get wrapped up in the busyness of everything and I slack. So I encourage everybody, let's all mail cards because that's what we do as card makers. We make cards and I would love to see them all getting used more often. So here's all 4 cards that we have. Glitz on foil, foil on glitz, foil on glitz, glitz on foil. And there's all that shine. So you get the shiny, shimmery glitteriness of the glitz glitter gel with the foil. And it's so pretty to have those 2 different textures together on one card. All that's left to do now is to add a sentiment. You could definitely continue on and you could add some snowflakes on here. You could color some images, but for the sake of our time, I just went ahead and I stamped a sentiment. I love to have large scripty sentiments, and it doesn't matter the occasion. For birthdays, for anniversary, sympathy, Christmas, big scripty sentiments are my thing. So I used this Mama Elephant stamp set and I stamped out Let It Snow and I just went around it with my scissors and I call it bubble cutting. I just cut out that little bubble border and I'm just going to put that right in the middle of all these cards. I'm going to show you my favorite 3D foam squares because, and I'm going to have to open up a new package of these soon too. It's just going to be a new day. That'll fix my grumpiness today, opening up all these new things. I'm going to use these because these are thick, and I like a thick raised dimension, especially for a simple card. These backgrounds, even though they're textured and they're pretty and they're foily and glittery, I would say that they're a pretty simple card. And so I want to have something that kind of lifts them up. So these iCraft 3D foam adhesive squares are going to give me quite a bit of lift on my sentiment. So I'm just going to add a couple on here and peel these off. So I'm going to give those a good press, make sure they're adherent. If you have short nails like me, I keep my nails short, I keep them filed. I press into the foam and kind of peel that backer off with my thumbnail. I have trouble with all kinds of foam tape backers. I have trouble picking up little pieces of scrap papers off my desk. So this little trick has helped me a lot. I'm just going to place this right over that seam line, right in the center, and give that a good press down. And I like these two because like they're not going anywhere. That's on there, good. I think that maybe I'll do, no, I was gonna do 2 layered flat onto the card, but I really like the foam. I think it's pretty with the foam. And it doesn't take long. It gives it, I always tell my husband, I like to do simple cards. Clean and simple cards are my jam. I admire every person who does elaborate designs. Mona is one of my favorite, Mona Toth, I hope I say her last name correctly. She's on the Thermoweb team and she is one of my favorite card designers because her scenes are gorgeous. And I can't do them. I can't do scenes. So I always tell my husband, I do clean and simple cards, but I need something to give it oomph. And so foam tape is the way to go, especially these thicker 3D foam squares from iCraft, I think. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add these on. So this is really it. I'm wrapping up here with this simple card design. If anybody has any last minute questions about any of the products I used today or any of the products that I didn't use today, feel free to ask them now. And if you have something that you want to see in the future from me or from Thermoweb in general, let me know, because if you want to see flock next week, we'll do more flock. There's enamels too, if you want to see more foil. I hope I answered some questions that some of my friends had about using the Duo Gel and how fabulous it is to work with in the die cutting machine. You don't have to have a fancy laminator. Okay, last one, just adding 4 foam squares on there. And then I'll peel off those backers. They're going all over my floor right now. I usually have, well, there's one flying into screen. I usually have a little garbage can right next to me, and I emptied it and I left it in the kitchen. So they're all over my floor, but that's okay. I have hardwood floors. So I do the Jennifer McGuire method. I sweep it all onto the floor and then I sweep it up later. I'm gonna put that right in the center again, right over that seam line. And that is that. Here, I'll show them all to you. 4 cards, quick and easy. So excluding drying time, I think my timer says we've been on for about 30 minutes. So really, it didn't take that long because to stencil everything, I stenciled everything live. It doesn't take that long. And then to just trim them down and throw a quick sentiment on there, no time at all. I think you could definitely get these done. Quick, easy, simple, ready to go, Christmas cards. And again, mix up the colors of your Glitz Glitter Gel and your foil. What I did with the foil, with that Duo Gel, you could do with the flock. So if you want to have a fuzzy texture instead of a shiny texture, absolutely you can do that. You can use the neons and have bright, summery, happy cards. There's other colors of foil and flock that I love for fall colors. This is a good card design when you need cards fast and you want them to have, like I say, a little extra oomph, a little extra pow with the glimmery and the shininess of them. So I'm going to look. I don't think anybody had any last minute questions. If you do, this live video will be up on the Thermoweb channel. It takes just a little bit of time for it to upload, but leave me a comment there if you have a question that you think of, if you have a product you'd like to see Thermoweb use in future live videos, feel free to leave a comment. And while I am here, I will be back on for another live video on the 21st, so 2 weeks from today. So come back, same time, it's 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Thermoweb YouTube channel. I'll be doing another quick tutorial for you guys. I will say goodbye for now. Thank you all for being here and for watching. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye. Oh, it's always so hard to figure out how to turn off the camera. There we go. Okay, bye.